force yourself to organize your life, there comes a point in your life where you realize that wishing, hoping, and dreaming are no longer enough, because nothing changes until you do. And the truth is, most people don't lack ambition, they lack organization. They want success but live in chaos. They want peace but wake up in environments that drain them. They want discipline but give their time away to distractions that don't deserve them. This video isn't about cleaning your room or making aesthetic to-do lists. This is about waking up to the reality that your life will not magically fall into place. You have to force yourself to organize it. You have to create habits that support the future you want, not the habits that keep you stuck where you are. When your mind is cluttered, your decisions weaken. When your systems are broken, your confidence breaks with them. But when you take control, when you start organizing your time, your space, your thoughts, your priorities, something shifts. You stop living on autopilot and start living with intention. This is the moment where you take your power back. This is where your life stops happening to you and starts happening because of you. Let's talk about how forcing yourself to organize your life becomes the foundation for everything you've ever wanted to become. Your life won't change until your habits do. Your life is a direct reflection of the habits you repeat every single day. And until you understand that, nothing in your world will truly change. You can pray for a better future. You can dream of a different lifestyle. You can write down all the goals you want to accomplish. But if your habits do not align with the person you want to become, those dreams remain fantasies. The truth is, habits are not just routines. They are the architecture of your destiny. They silently shape your mindset, your discipline, your outcomes, and your identity. Most people say they want a new life, yet they wake up and repeat the same patterns that built the life they're trying to escape. They want confidence without putting in the reps, results without consistency, breakthroughs without sacrifice. But transformation doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's earned through the small, repetitive, sometimes boring actions you commit to even when you don't feel like it. Because change isn't emotional. Change isn't motivational. Change is behavioral. And until you change your behaviors, life will keep recycling the same lessons, the same results, the same disappointments. Your habits are either pulling you closer to your goals or pushing you farther away. And the dangerous part is that most people don't notice it happening. They think it's just one more hour wasted, one more day unplanned, one more night scrolling, one more moment of procrastination. But these small decisions become your autopilot. Your habits slowly train your brain either to expand or collapse, to grow or stagnate, to evolve or stay stuck. The reason your life feels chaotic is because your habits are unstructured. The reason your goals feel distant is because your habits don't support them. And the reason you feel overwhelmed is because your habits haven't been taught to work for you. They've been left to run you. That's why the greatest shift you will ever make is forcing yourself to stop chasing motivation and start building structure. Real power happens when you're consistent even on the days where everything inside you wants to quit. Because the truth is, motivation fades, discipline doesn't. Inspiration comes and goes, structure sustains you. A new life doesn't come from big moments. It comes from mastering the small ones. And you don't need to overhaul everything at once. You just need to choose one area of your life that is screaming for change and commit to building one new habit that supports the direction you want to move in. Maybe it's waking up 1 hour earlier. Maybe it's cleaning your space. Maybe it's drinking more water. Maybe it's planning your day. Maybe it's reading instead of scrolling. Maybe it's saying no to energy drainers who ruin your focus. Whatever it is, start small. Start realistic. Start with something your future self will thank you for. Because habits compound. What feels like a tiny shift today becomes a powerful transformation over time. But you have to stay consistent long enough for the compound effect to work. You cannot plant a seed and demand a tree the next morning. Growth takes repetition. Growth takes patience. Growth takes doing what needs to be done long before results appear. The old version of you collapses only when the new version is practiced repeatedly. But here's the hard truth. Changing your habits will require breaking the emotional attachments that kept you stuck. Some habits come from comfort, some from fear, some from avoidance, some from childhood programming, some from self-doubt, and when you try to change them, you will feel resistance. Not because you're weak, but because your brain is wired to favor the familiar. That is why people sabotage their own progress. Their minds are addicted to the patterns that feel safe, even if those patterns are destroying them. So if you want to build new habits, you have to learn to sit with discomfort. You have to learn to do the work even when it feels unnatural, unfamiliar, or difficult. You have to learn that discipline is not punishment, it is self-respect. You force yourself to show up not because it's easy, but because the alternative is staying stuck in the same cycle. When you push past resistance, you're training your brain to trust a new reality. And that's the beautiful part. Habits don't just change your actions, they change your identity. When you consistently do things that align with the person you want to become, you begin to see yourself differently. Confidence grows, self-worth improves, mental clarity returns. You stop surviving and start living. You stop reacting and start deciding. You stop drifting and start directing. You realize you deserve more than the patterns that kept you small. And slowly, your habits become a lifestyle. Your lifestyle becomes your identity. Your identity becomes your destiny. The life you want is not built in the future. It's built in the habits you practice today. And if you don't like your life, you must look at your habits and ask yourself, what am I repeating that keeps creating this reality? Because the universe responds to consistency. Success responds to structure. Peace responds to boundaries. Growth responds to discipline. When your habits evolve, everything in your life shifts with them. The version of you dream about isn't waiting somewhere in the distance. It's hidden inside the habits you haven't built yet. And the day you force yourself to take control of those habits is the day your entire life begins to transform. Clutter is not just physical. Its mental clutter does not start in your room, your desk, or your closet. It starts in your mind. Before your space becomes overwhelming, your thoughts already were. Before your environment becomes chaotic, your emotions were quietly piling up. And this is why trying to fix your life by only cleaning your physical surroundings never works. Because real clutter is internal. It's the unprocessed feelings you keep ignoring, the decisions you keep postponing, the responsibilities you keep avoiding, the relationships you keep tolerating, the digital noise you keep consuming, and the habits you keep repeating that drain your energy instead of fueling it. Physical clutter is just the symptom, mental clutter is the disease. And until you address what's happening inside you, nothing on the outside will stay organized for long. Your mind is the command center of your life, and when it's overloaded, everything else in your world becomes harder. Thinking, planning, focusing, creating, even resting. Mental clutter is the silent enemy that steals your clarity and convinces you that you're stuck when you're actually just overwhelmed. Most people live with mental clutter without ever naming it. They wake up tired because their mind didn't rest. It rehearsed worries all night. They struggle to focus because their brain is juggling too many unresolved thoughts at once. They can't finish tasks because their energy is scattered across 1,000 tiny distractions that don't matter. And when they look at their physical environment, they see the evidence of their internal chaos everywhere: piles of unfinished work, delayed decisions, messages left unread, plans without follow-through, goals without structure, and a life that feels heavier than it should. But the truth is, clutter isn't laziness or lack of effort. It's a sign of emotional overload. Every item out of place, every task forgotten, every plan postponed is a reflection of how much your mind has been trying to hold together. You don't need judgment. You need clarity. You need to create space in your mind before you try to organize anything else. One of the hardest truths to accept is that mental clutter comes from the things you refuse to face, the conversations you avoid, the boundaries you don't enforce, the dreams you don't pursue, the emotions you suppress, the people you allow to drain you, the truths you don't want to confront. Every time you avoid something, it doesn't disappear, it gets stored. And the more you store, the heavier you feel. You become mentally exhausted, emotionally unstable, and spiritually drained because your mind is carrying too many untold stories, unfinished tasks, and unprocessed memories. This is why mental clutter is so dangerous. It distracts you from yourself. It makes you lose sight of your purpose, your power, your identity. You spend so much time juggling noise that you forget to listen to your intuition. You forget to notice what truly matters. You forget to protect your peace. And a life lived in distraction is a life lived without direction. But the moment you begin acknowledging your mental clutter, you reclaim your power. Because clarity begins with honesty. The courage to admit that your mind needs resetting. And that reset doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you intentionally create mental space. It happens when you stop filling every quiet moment with noise. It happens when you stop saying yes to everything that drains you. It happens when you organize your thoughts the same way you would organize a room, sorting through what to keep, what to release, what to confront, and what to stop carrying. Just like cleaning a messy space, clearing mental clutter requires patience and emotional bravery. You have to sit with uncomfortable truths. You have to let go of old narratives. You have to stop pretending you're okay when you're exhausted. You have to choose peace even when chaos feels familiar. And here's the transformation: when your mind is clear, your life becomes easier. Tasks feel lighter because your brain isn't overwhelmed. Problems feel more solvable because your thoughts are organized. Decisions become clearer because your intuition finally has room to speak. You become more productive without trying harder, simply because your energy is no longer scattered. Mental clarity is not a luxury. It's a necessity for a balanced, meaningful life. It's what allows you to show up fully, think deeply, feel intentionally, and act decisively. When your mind is uncluttered, you don't just live better. You live present. But mental clarity requires boundaries. It requires protecting your energy from people who drain it. It requires limiting your screen time, your comparison habits, and the digital noise that hijacks your attention. It requires saying no to situations that don't align with your values. It requires creating routines that support your goals instead of sabotaging them. And it requires giving yourself permission to slow down, to breathe, to rest, to reflect, and to reset. Because sometimes the most productive thing you can do is pause and clear your mind. Mental clutter will always try to creep back in. But the more you practice awareness, the stronger your inner order becomes. You start catching yourself when you're overthinking. You stop entertaining things that don't deserve your time. You stop carrying emotional weight that isn't yours. You start choosing peace over pressure, clarity over chaos, simplicity over overwhelm. And slowly your mind becomes a place where you can breathe again, a place where creativity flows, a place where decisions feel aligned, a place where you can finally hear your own voice above the noise of the world. The truth is, you don't need a perfect life. You need a clear mind. And once you clean the mental clutter that has been clouding your judgment, you unlock a level of focus, peace, and strength you didn't know you were capable of. Your life doesn't transform because everything around you becomes easier. It transforms because your mind becomes organized enough to handle it. When your thoughts are clear, your path becomes clear. And when your path becomes clear, your life begins to move in the direction it was always meant to. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and who you want to be. There comes a moment in every person's life where they finally realize that motivation alone will never build the future they want. Motivation is emotional. It rises when life feels inspiring and disappears the moment things get hard. But discipline is different. Discipline stays. Discipline shows up even when you don't want to. Discipline is the bridge between the person you are today and the person you dream of becoming. It is the force that transforms intentions into action, dreams into plans, and plans into results. The truth is, discipline doesn't care about your mood, your excuses, or your comfort. It demands consistency, not feelings. And the reason so many people stay stuck is because they're waiting to feel ready, when in reality, readiness is built through disciplined action. Your life will not change the moment you get motivated. It will change the moment you get disciplined enough to follow through, especially when everything inside you wants to quit. Discipline is not about perfection. It is about repetition. It is the daily practice of choosing what you need over what you want in the moment. It is doing the work even when no one is watching. It is making decisions that your future self will thank you for, even if your present self resists them. You don't build discipline in big dramatic moments. You build it in the silent, ordinary routines you repeat every day. Waking up on time, completing tasks you promised yourself, following through on your plans, saying no to distractions, staying focused when your mind wants to wander. Every small act of discipline becomes a brick in the foundation of your future. And the people who build strong lives are not the most talented or the most inspired. They are the most consistent. They are the ones who refuse to negotiate with their excuses. But here's the truth: most people avoid discipline requires sacrifice. You cannot keep every comfort and expect transformation. You cannot hold on to the habits that soothe you and still expect a life that challenges you to grow. Discipline forces you to confront your own patterns, your procrastination, your avoidance, your fear of discomfort, your dependence on instant gratification. It forces you to recognize that every time you choose comfort over effort, you delay your progress. Every time you choose distraction over focus, you weaken your potential. Every time you give in to laziness, you empower the part of you that wants to remain the same. Discipline holds a mirror to your life and asks, are you willing to give up who you are for who you want to become? Most people aren't. But the ones who are, they change everything. The journey of discipline is not easy because it often feels like a fight against yourself. Your brain is programmed to seek reward and avoid discomfort. That's why the first step toward discipline often feels painful. It feels unnatural. It feels uncomfortable. This is where most people give up, not because they're incapable, but because they expect discipline to feel good from the start. But discipline is a muscle. It strengthens with repetition. What feels difficult today becomes automatic with time. And the moment you push through the initial resistance, you awaken a new level of self-respect. The kind that says, I can trust myself to do hard things. That trust becomes power. That trust becomes confidence. That trust becomes momentum. And it's important to understand that discipline is not punishment. It is self-love in its highest form. It is choosing long-term peace over short-term pleasure. It is protecting your future from the consequences of your present habits. It is teaching yourself that you deserve more than the easy path. When you practice discipline, you are not being strict. You are being responsible. You are building a life where success is not accidental, but intentional. You are creating habits that support your mental clarity, your emotional strength, your financial growth, your relationships, and your purpose. A disciplined life feels lighter, not heavier, because structure frees you. Routines protect you. Order empowers you. But discipline also requires honesty. It demands that you take accountability for your actions instead of blaming circumstances, people, or timing. It demands that you stop lying to yourself about why you haven't started, why you haven't changed, why you haven't grown. You cannot build discipline on a foundation of excuses. You must confront your patterns with courage. You must admit where you've been inconsistent. You must recognize where you've been sabotaging your own success. Because awareness breaks cycles. And once you acknowledge the truth, you can no longer hide behind it. The beautiful thing about discipline is that it grows in silence. No one will applaud you when you wake up early. No one will celebrate your decision to stay focused. No one will cheer for your small victories. But that's exactly how discipline works. It turns private victories into public results. The people who eventually shock the world are the ones who quietly disciplined themselves long before anyone was watching. Discipline is the seed, success is the fruit. And the more disciplined you become, the more powerful your identity becomes. You start seeing yourself differently. You stop saying, I wish I could, and start saying, I always do. You stop hoping for change and start creating it. You stop waiting for opportunities and begin preparing for them. You stop dreaming of a better life and begin building one. Discipline transforms you from someone who reacts to life into someone who directs it. It gives you control. It gives you strength. It gives you freedom. The truth is, you don't need more time. You need more discipline. You don't need more motivation. You need better habits. You don't need a perfect plan. You need consistent action. The gap between where you are and where you want to be will always be crossed by discipline, not desire. And the moment you choose discipline, truly choose it, your entire life shifts, your focus sharpens, your confidence grows, your path becomes clearer, your goals become reachable, because discipline builds the version of you capable of achieving everything you dream of. In the end, discipline is not something you have, it is something you practice. And the day you commit to practicing it is the day you stop being a prisoner of your old habits and start becoming the architect of your future. Your environment shapes your destiny. Your environment is one of the most powerful forces influencing your life. Yet most people never stop to question how deeply it affects their thoughts, behaviors, confidence, and direction. You cannot expect to build a focused, disciplined, purpose-driven life while living in surroundings that constantly drain your energy or distract your mind. Your environment is not just the room you wake up in. It is the digital world you consume daily, the people you interact with, the routines you follow, the conversations you allow, the energy you surround yourself with, and the spaces where you spend your silence. Everything around you is shaping you quietly, molding your mindset day after day. And the brutal truth is, you cannot rise above an environment that is pulling you down. You can have the biggest dreams in your heart, but if you live in a space that feeds chaos, negativity, or disorganization, you will always struggle to elevate. Your environment is either supporting your growth or suffocating it. There is no in between. Think about how different you feel in a clean, organized space versus a cluttered one. Think about the peace you feel when you surround yourself with positive, ambitious people compared to the heaviness you feel around those who complain, gossip, or drain your spirit. Think about the difference between waking up to intentional routines versus waking up to noise, distractions, and urgency. Environments signal behavior. A messy room signals procrastination. A chaotic schedule signals overwhelm. A toxic group of people signals self-doubt and instability. Your environment doesn't just reflect your state of mind, it shapes it. That's why people who want change must first change what surrounds them. You can't cultivate clarity in chaos. You can't build confidence in environments that make you question your worth. You can't elevate when you're tied to spaces that remind you of your past instead of preparing you for your future. One of the most overlooked truths in personal growth is that the environment sets the limits for your potential. You might have incredible talent, strong goals, and unstoppable ambition, but if your environment constantly exposes you to negative energy, distractions, or disorder, your mind will struggle to stay focused. Human beings are deeply influenced by what they see, hear, and feel every day. The content you consume becomes your mindset. The people around you become your standards. The energy in your space becomes your emotional baseline. And no matter how powerful your willpower is, your environment will always win if it's constantly working against you. That's why transformation often begins with subtraction, removing things, people, habits, and energies that steal your clarity. Sometimes you don't need more motivation, you need fewer distractions. Sometimes you don't need more discipline. You need a different space that supports it. Sometimes you don't need to work harder, you simply need a cleaner, calmer, more intentional environment. Changing your environment is not just about aesthetic improvements. It's about strategic design. You are designing a life where success becomes easier because the space around you aligns with the person you want to become. When your environment is intentional, it becomes a silent coach pushing you toward your goals. A tidy room signals order. A decluttered desk signals focus. A scheduled day signals discipline. Surrounding yourself with people who push you, stretch you, and inspire you signals growth. Every detail of your environment becomes a reminder of the standards you hold for yourself. And the more you elevate your environment, the more your self-worth rises with it. You start to believe you deserve better. You start to trust that you are capable of more. You start behaving in alignment with the life you're designing. But creating a powerful environment requires courage. It requires removing the people who keep you stuck in old patterns. It requires limiting access to those who drain your emotional energy. It requires letting go of objects that carry old memories or emotional heaviness. It requires breaking routines that no longer support your goals. It requires disconnecting from digital addiction and replacing it with intentional content that nourishes your mind. Changing your environment can feel uncomfortable at first because it exposes the habits, relationships, and attachments that were holding you back. But discomfort is the price of growth. Every time you clean your space, you're clearing mental noise. Every time you remove toxic influences, you're reclaiming emotional strength. Every time you change your surroundings, you're upgrading your identity. The most successful people in the world don't rely on willpower alone. They engineer environments that make success inevitable. They minimize distractions. They prioritize spaces that make them feel motivated. They surround themselves with winners. They create routines that support structure. They protect their energy fiercely. They choose silence over noise, clarity over clutter, quality over quantity, and growth over comfort. They understand that their environment is not just where they live. It is the foundation of their destiny. And if you want to elevate your life, you must elevate what surrounds you. The beautiful thing is that you don't have to transform everything at once. You can start with small changes that create big shifts. Clean one area of your room. Remove one toxic influence from your life. Unfollow accounts that make you feel insecure. Add one productive routine to your morning. Spend time in spaces that make you feel inspired. Choose people who challenge you to be better. These small changes compound into powerful transformation because your environment influences your habits, and your habits shape your future. Ultimately, your environment is a reflection of what you believe you deserve. If your surroundings are chaotic, it means you've been tolerating too much chaos within yourself. If your environment lacks structure, it means your life has been missing accountability. If your space drains you, it means you've been settling for less than your true potential. But the moment you take control of your environment, everything shifts. You think clearer. You feel lighter. You become more focused. You start attracting better opportunities. You start making better decisions. You start becoming the person you've always known you could be. Your destiny is not just written by your habits. It is shaped by the environment that either supports or sabotages those habits. Surround yourself with chaos, and your life becomes chaotic. Surround yourself with discipline, and your life becomes disciplined. Surround yourself with purpose, and your life becomes purposeful. Elevate your environment, and your destiny naturally rises to meet it. Small systems create big results. Most people believe their lives will change through massive breakthroughs, dramatic moments, or sudden waves of motivation, but real transformation rarely arrives that way. Your life evolves not through giant leaps, but through the small, consistent systems you build every single day. Systems are the quiet structure behind your success, the invisible architecture supporting your growth, the daily rhythms that keep your life moving even when your motivation disappears. Without systems, your mind becomes overwhelmed, your goals feel unreachable, and your progress becomes inconsistent. With systems, everything becomes smoother, cleaner, lighter. Not because life is easier, but because you have built a blueprint that allows you to stay consistent without constantly fighting yourself. Small systems are the foundation of a stable, focused, disciplined life, and when you learn to create them, you stop depending on motivation and start depending on your own structure. The truth is, small systems work because they remove decision fatigue, the exhaustion that comes from constantly thinking, planning, choosing, and overthinking every little step. When your life lacks structure, your mind becomes your enemy. You wake up trying to figure out what to do instead of actually doing it. You waste energy deciding instead of acting. You try to mentally organize things that should have already been organized. This is why people feel drained before the day even begins. Their mind is doing the job their systems were supposed to do. But when your day has rhythm, when your routines flow naturally, when your responsibilities have a place, when your tasks are organized into manageable steps, your mind finally relaxes. You stop starting from zero every morning. You develop a life that supports you instead of exhausting you. This is the power of small systems. They protect your energy by removing unnecessary stress. And here's the part most people underestimate. Systems make success simple. Not easy, simple. When your goals are broken into small, repeatable steps, they stop feeling impossible. For example, instead of planning to get healthier. A system breaks that into habits: drink water first thing in the morning, walk for 15 minutes after meals, sleep on time, prepare meals ahead. Instead of planning to become productive, a system structures it: plan the night before, organize your workspace, break tasks into micro steps, focus for short intervals. Instead of planning to grow financially, a system forms around it: automate savings, track expenses weekly, learn consistently, reduce unnecessary spending. Systems turn big dreams into daily actions, and daily actions become progress. Progress becomes momentum. Momentum becomes transformation. You don't need to do everything. You just need to turn the right things into a routine. The beauty of small systems is that they do not rely on willpower. In fact, they save your willpower for the things that actually matter. This is why successful people don't spend their days making random decisions. Their lives are designed through systems that carry them forward. Their morning routines support focus. Their evening routines support clarity. Their environment supports discipline. Their habits support their identity. They don't wait to feel like it. They operate through systems that make showing up automatic. And this is why their results seem effortless from the outside. People assume they are simply more motivated or more gifted, but in reality, they've learned how to engineer systems that protect their discipline and reduce chaos. When you build small systems, you're not just organizing your life, you're engineering your future. But building systems requires honesty. You have to look at your life and admit where things are disorganized, where habits are inconsistent, where routines are weak, where time is wasted, and where mental energy is leaking. You cannot build strong systems on top of denial. You must confront the areas where your lack of structure is costing you clarity. Maybe your mornings are chaotic. Maybe your nights lack closure. Maybe your workspace drains your focus. Maybe your digital life is cluttered. Maybe your schedule is unplanned. Maybe your emotions are unprocessed. Every system begins with awareness, seeing what is broken so you can rebuild it better. Once you acknowledge the truth, you can begin shaping routines that simplify your life instead of complicating it. And remember this: systems don't have to be big to be powerful. A 5-minute routine done consistently beats a 1-hour routine you abandon. A simple system you can maintain is more valuable than an elaborate system you can't. The goal is not perfection. The goal is consistency. Your systems should feel natural, not forced. They should support your life, not suffocate it. Start with one thing. Maybe it's organizing your mornings. Maybe it's creating a weekly reset. Maybe it's setting digital boundaries. Maybe it's creating a cleaning flow. Maybe it's keeping a simple daily checklist. These small systems create structure. Structure creates clarity. Clarity creates direction. Direction creates results. The real transformation happens when your systems reshape your identity. Over time, you stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles with discipline and start seeing yourself as someone who lives with discipline. You stop feeling like a person fighting chaos and become a person who naturally maintains order. You stop identifying with your old patterns because your systems have built new ones. And once your identity changes, your life follows. Discipline becomes natural. Focus becomes easier. Productivity becomes part of who you are. Peace becomes your baseline. You begin to trust yourself in a way you never have before. Because your systems prove your consistency. Small systems create big results because they change your life quietly, gradually, and sustainably. They protect your mind from overwhelm. They reduce emotional stress. They replace chaos with clarity, and they allow you to grow without burning out. A structured life is not a restrictive life. It is a powerful one. It is a life where you are not constantly reacting, but intentionally directing. A life where your actions align with your goals. A life where your energy flows where it matters. A life where your success becomes inevitable, because your systems make it impossible to fall back into the old version of you. In the end, you don't rise by accident, you rise by design, and small systems are the design. They are the blueprint. They are the silent engine behind every powerful transformation. When you build them, your life doesn't just improve. It elevates, it stabilizes, it strengthens, it expands. Small systems turn you into the person who doesn't just dream of a better future, but lives it.